Happy Monday. Welcome into another edition of 3-Point Stance presented by MTN Dew. It's our last one of the year, and we're back together again. Roser, me, we got a lot to talk about, so let's go right into it. Roser, number one,
Meghan.
happy holidays. Like, I haven't seen you. We've been like not around each other. And number two, wow, what a weekend of a whole bunch of sports that we've had. What a week. Let's start in the NFL because a lot of things were decided. Some teams clinched, like the Buccaneers, the Packers. Some teams did not, like the Seahawks and the Panthers. But when you look at the teams that have clinched their playoff spot, their berth, that have won their divisions, what team looks like the most impressive team that you can kind of say, I believe in them more?
It's tough in the entire NFL because I think Kansas City, they've kind of really turned it around, and they do look, as much as I hate to say it, they look pretty unbelievable. Dallas, I do have a wager on Dallas to win the Super Bowl. I made that back at towards the beginning of the season after the first couple of weeks, when they were still like 20-1 to win the Super Bowl. So I do have that one. Green Bay, I think Green Bay may need to take a loss. They've started to look a little, it's going down a little bit. They might need to take a loss to kind of refocus them. Tampa Bay, and the Tampa Bay, they had a nice bounce back win. They were able to clinch the division. And the Rams look like they've gotten things going again. Do you trust Stafford when it comes down to it? I don't know. I'm going to stick with Dallas and Buffalo.
Buffalo.
I hate the Chiefs.
I
thought Buffalo. Yeah, I thought Buffalo, and they just kind of had a lull a couple of weeks there. But go look at some of that's a good New England defense, and you look at some of the throws Josh Allen made yesterday. Yeah, I think Buffalo. I'm going to say Buffalo and Dallas. In the Super Bowl. But I will say the storyline for me that I'm watching for the playoffs is Aaron Rodgers. And it's if Rodgers can win another Super Bowl, he's got one. If he can win, it's different when you win two. And if he wins that second one, now you're talking about, some people are, to me, he's the most gifted, talented quarterback I've ever seen play, just with his physical tools that he has. But he is still not mentioned with a Brady, and he's never going to be mentioned with a Brady. But like with a Peyton Manning, with a John Elway, with a Joe Montana, he can get up in that conversation if he wins another one.
Okay, you gave us a lot right there. I only asked you one question. You gave me your Super Bowl picks. Now you're giving me a Aaron Rodgers perspective of whenever he gets.
That's just a storyline I really care about.
Right. Okay.
I give you one team from the AFC, one team from the NFC, Buffalo and Dallas.
Okay, I like that. I'm just going to say the team that has surprised me, and I think because I hopped off the bandwagon, if you asked me, when I gave my picks at the beginning of the season, I said Kansas City. And this is coming from someone who's
so brave.
AFC, and I was, but I hopped off of it. I was like, the way that they had started the season, they started to look, it was like, I don't know if the defense is there. I don't know if the offense can get going. Patrick Mahomes doesn't look like Patrick Mahomes. A lot of his guys were hurt. But now you look at how they're playing, and they're on this 8-game winning streak. They'll take on the Bengals. I think that'll be an interesting game next week when you talk about Joe Burrow and that type of offense, when he's breaking records and throwing over 500 passing yards. But this Kansas City Chiefs team, once again, I'm like, and I hate this. It's because we're someone who wanted that top spot in the AFC. I wanted my team to be sitting there. I thought we were going to be sitting there after we got to week 10. I'm like, oh, that's ours. And then we dealt with our injuries, but now they're a game ahead of us. There's still a chance for our Titans, but the way the Chiefs have been playing, I'm just like, you know what? They got a big victory over the weekend without Travis Kelce, who the guy was the guy 2 weeks ago. And you think about being fully healthy and hopefully not alone health and safety protocols list, because that is a factor now. It's not just injuries. That is a huge factor when you come down to the playoffs and Super Bowl. But I am shocked at what the Chiefs have been able to do to rally themselves together. And now I'm like, I'm nervous and I'm concerned AFC wise for my Titans team.
And I was dead right about the Fraudnals and Fraudler Murray. as a quarterback.
They dealt with some injuries too. It's so hard because like I was on the Cardinals too. That first game against the Titans when we played them.
Oh, no. I know they've dealt with injuries. I don't believe in Cliff Kingsbury, and I think Kyler Murray's insanely overrated. So like it's just like DeAndre Hopkins matters a ton for what they do, and he's not
okay.
there. So.
All right. Well, how about some NBA action? Christmas Day game. There was a lot to watch. At one point, we thought our game's going to get pushed back, postponed, moved around. We had all our games on Christmas Day. So many big games. The top teams playing each other. We know the honor that it is on Christmas Day. What was the game that stood out to you?
Oh, it was the Patty Mills and James Harden show in Los Angeles, and I know the Lakers came back. And even tied it in the fourth quarter. At one point, they tied it like 110 or 115 or something like that. Tied it, and then the Nets ended up pulling away. But that's got to be the most impressive without Kevin Durant, without Kyrie Irving, going into Los Angeles on Christmas Day and beating the Lakers. And I know the Lakers don't have Anthony Davis, but this is still your king, your holier than thou LeBron James and his handpicked roster. And guess what? They suck. I don't want to hear about the Lakers. Well, if the Lakers could do this, the Lakers could do. The Lakers are not good. And it doesn't mean that they won't be able to beat the Grizzlies on, Wednesday night or whatever. It doesn't mean they can't do that. But, like, their body of work says they're an under 500 team, and that's exactly what they are. You watch the Lakers, and I'm like, okay, LeBron James is still really good. And what else? Like, they look old. They do look old.
I'm not going to use that word. I think things aren't meshing. Like what makes a good basketball team is putting the right puzzle pieces together. And the Lakers, I'm not off of them, but I do think that they can very well figure it out when it comes to the second half of the season. But for right now, for the product that they're putting out there, it's like they're not on the same page right now. The game that I watched, because I do think we were seeing the two best teams in the West, is the Warriors and the Suns. The Suns, a game that Devin Booker has been wanting to play on Christmas Day. And that, even though Steph Curry didn't play his best shooting percentage-wise game, but you look up and down, every team is dealing with guys in and out. Devin Booker was back, not the best shooting night for him either. And Steph Curry coming off of a great shooting night against the Grizzlies. But it was so good that it felt like a playoff series. It felt like a playoff game, and that I wanted more. And I love when teams enter into the Christmas Day schedule. And I do think the Suns are going to be there for the next couple of seasons in a Christmas Day game, and they deserve that. The two hottest teams right now, loved every single. And Otto Porter Jr., that was the guy who sealed the win for the Warriors. We're all like, a guy that a lot of people had like marked off, questioned off, dealt with injuries, have bounced around from team to team, from the Wizards to the Magic, and now he's got a home with the Warriors. Another guy who stepped into play, who knocked down some like pivotal shots, and even Steph Curry talked about it. It is that next man up mentality for the Warriors too. And we're getting closer to Klay Thompson coming back. They said it end of December, early January. It's December 27th. And so I love that Christmas Day game. That was my game for me. And that move was.
Well, I would say to that, like, what have you seen? What has anybody seen from the Lakers this year that makes you think they could beat the Warriors or the Suns? Like what?
Because they have LeBron. That's what scares everybody. Because
LeBron James is not LeBron James is not Giannis. LeBron James is not Kevin Durant anymore. He's not them. He's not as good as they are.
But
he's done nothing but handpick his roster and surrounded with old guys.
And if Anthony Davis is fully healthy, that's what's kind of scary. But the most impressive team are the Warriors and the Suns, because you look at them, you're like, can they get it done? Are they getting it done? The Suns shocked everybody last year. The Warriors are shocking everybody when it comes to their offense. We knew they had some shooters on their team from Steph Curry, but it's every single guy. Draymond Green is still being himself, still agitating guys, and he's found other shooters. And the defense, the Warriors defense, we've never really put those two and two together, and they have figured it out without Klay Thompson. So we'll see how
that was the underrated thing about the Warriors championship teams, is that they were a top 5 defense in the league. That's what everybody talked about, their 3-point shooting, even, when they had Klay, Curry, and Durant. But they were like they were number 1 or number 2 in the league defensively. And people do forget that about them, they should be scary when Klay gets back. You mentioned the Suns. That's who we play tonight. Grizzlies, Suns. Grizzlies snapped their 3-game losing streak. The Sacramento Kings are a disgrace. They should fold the franchise. But the Phoenix Suns, this is a tough one, and they have absolutely owned the Grizzlies, but it is tonight. Tell them where we can watch it.
Well, you can watch it on Valley Sports Southeast. The Grizzlies that start this winning streak. It's at 8 p.m. So make sure you remember and cheer on our Grizzlies before they come home on Wednesday and take on the Lakers.